Welcome to the Oral History Podcast, which features stories from the oral history website voicesofoklahoma.com, where Oklahomans have given generously of their time to tell their life story for present-day listeners and for the generations to come. Our entire collection is available at voicesofoklahoma.com. By subscribing to our podcast, you will be notified of new Oklahoma oral history podcasts. So now listen to another interesting storyteller from voicesofoklahoma.com.
Dr. James A. Rodgers, a neurosurgery specialist in Tulsa, Oklahoma, completed his medical school prerequisites at the University of Tulsa in 1972. He then graduated with honors from the University of Oklahoma Medical School in 1976. After completing his internship and residency in neurosurgery in 1981, he opened a solo practice in Muskogee, Oklahoma, returning to Tulsa in 1989. In his solo practice, he focused on cervical and lumbar spine problems. One of the founders of Tulsa Spine and Specialty Hospital, a physician-owned hospital, Dr. Rodgers has nearly 50 years of diverse experience in neurosurgery. Beyond his medical career, he developed a strong interest in music in his youth that eventually led to owning and rehabilitating the internationally known music venue, Cain's Ballroom. This Tulsa landmark, inducted into the Oklahoma Music Hall of Fame in 2005, is remembered for its role in the history of Western swing music and rock and roll. Here's Dr. Rodgers' advice to young people when considering a career. Choosing a lifestyle is very important. Think about how it would affect your family. Listen to Dr. Rodgers talk about his medical career, his love for cars, his purchase of Cain's Ballroom, and his health battle on the oral history website, voicesofoklahoma.com.
My name is John Erling, and today's date is August 1st, 2022. So, Jim, would you state your full name, please?
James Allen Rodgers.
And your date of birth?
September 1, 1951.
Making your present age?
70, soon to be 71.
Where are we recording this interview?
At my home here in Tulsa.
Where were you born?
Here in Tulsa.
Let's talk about your parents. Your mother's name, maiden name, where she came from, grew up?
Denia Louise Burnworth was her maiden name. She was born at Independence, Kansas in 1928. My father, Calvin Rodgers, no middle name, was born in 1924, also, I believe, in Independence.
What kind of personality did your mother have?
My mother was a driven, loving, but pushed me to become the man and the professional that I became. She always wanted to be a nurse, and she always wanted to be a doctor. She went to 1 or 2 years of junior college, never went to a major university, never got a degree, was a beauty queen in high school, and met my father and got married.
So did she plant this medical thought in your head?
Well, there was no other medical people in my background. No other nurses or doctors on either side of the family. I think that they identified early that I could make good grades, and I was focused on studying. And if you put a challenge in front of me, that I could handle it. And maybe that was some of it. I was also very good at math, but I couldn't. They never explained to me how I could make money with a math degree. And at least I had my appendix taken out at age 11 by Bob Perryman, the father of general surgery here in Tulsa. And I was so impressed with hurting terrible 1 second, and 2 hours later, the pain was gone. Kind of a godlike figure in my life, and that was maybe another turning point. But they just knew I could do whatever I wanted to do, and I did like the puzzle of medicine. Everything's a puzzle. When somebody comes in with a symptom, what is wrong with them? And working backwards from symptoms to the cause. And so I enjoyed, that probably also pushed me towards medicine. I didn't mind blood. I realized the powerful feeling that making someone better would give me. And that is something that stays with me to this day. Respect for my patients, do no harm, and do your best.
Yeah. Then your father, what did he do in his personality?
My father, was initially an insurance salesman, I think, when I was born, but then soon after I was born, started working at Rodgers Galvanizing, Rogers, west side of town, West 21st Street, and rose from being not a worker in the shop, where they dip metal into a hot zinc and galvanize, seal it so that it does not rust. He rose up to become president in the 80s, until he retired late in the 80s. He was a very religious man. He was very honest, very well respected, shy, not really gregarious. My mother was more that way, but they were a good couple and a good combination that, as a byproduct, made me who I became.
You obviously felt support from both of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Brothers or sisters?
I have a sister that is 4 years younger than me, Paula, who lives here in town, is married to a Tulsan. She got all the beauty and I got all the brains. And she would admit that if she was sitting here.
Rodgers, you've been asked, is that a Will Rodgers name?
We spell it differently, Rodgers. I think my first name was named after Jimmy Rodgers, the yodeling Western singer.
Yes. And which one of your parents would have enjoyed that, I wonder?
I think we all loved music. My mom more than my dad, but we always were listening to albums. They weren't in the choir. I was in the choir a little bit in junior high at the church. But she did teach me an appreciation of music, but not talking about it. I mean, we'd play things, and I would hear wonderful things in songs, words, melodies, and I loved to sing along. And I think that was another seed that they planted that to this day makes me always have music around me in the operating room and in my car when I exercise.
You said you sang. Could you sing publicly?
I have stage fright. I can harmonize great. Somebody sings lead, I can go up or down above them. I can go still high. In 7th grade, Laven's Soul was the concert choir instructor at Edison. And I was in that group, that class, for about 3 or 4 weeks until for some reason we changed my mind and I started French and took French for 6 years at Edison. But Mr. Soul hinted later on you should have stayed with singing. And my whole life would have changed probably if I'd continued singing, because I always envisioned myself as being a rock and roll star.
Oh, you said church. Were they church every Sunday? What church was it?
At least 2 or 3 times a month. It was Southminster Presbyterian Church that I grew up in and got married in 1973. When I left town in 72 for medical school and residency, and then 8 years in Muskogee practicing, when I came back, my parents were members of First Methodist, which was a great experience. All the ministers and Connie Icord and just the special people there was good. I wasn't religious about going to church every Sunday. In medicine, and making rounds on Sunday, it was just somewhat of a problem for me. But I still have religious roots in my life and in my practice. My faith is strong, and it has helped me many times in many ways.
Was Bill Thomas pastor there when you were there?
Yes, he was.
Right. Yeah, he was a good man.
Very good man.
What was the first school you attended?
I attended John Marshall Elementary School at 55th, 56th in Peoria in Tulsa. We lived on South Madison, not very far from there. But then we built a house at the southeast corner of Southland Shopping Center, which is now the Promenade. And in building that new house and moving, I went to Carnegie for about a year, and then Wade Phillips opened at 36th and Hudson. And that also was an important thing in my life because they had some advanced learning programs like math, and I had multiple special teachers that I think it was kind of going both ways. They recognized that I enjoyed school, did whatever they said, didn't get in trouble, and the bond that I had with all my teachers at Wade Phillips was wonderful, as it carried on to Edison for 6 years after Wade Phillips. I always felt school was kind of a contest. That's maybe not good looking back, but every test was a contest. I wanted to win. I wanted to be the fastest to finish the multiplication tables or make as many A's and hundreds on tests as I could. I was not very athletic. I played basketball a couple years, some years in elementary school, church league, and then a couple years at Edison. But physically, that was back at a time where we didn't lift weights, we didn't work out, we didn't do anything, and I was 120, 130 pounds and 6 foot, and had a family that didn't exercise and we enjoyed sports, but they never participated in sports. Right. Tennis, golf. So that also shaped my life because it gave me more time to study.
Were you active socially in clubs and all that at Edison?
I was disappointed that I wasn't at a social club at Edison because that was the in thing, but I was really close to all the members of the clubs. I was just kind of the next guy in, but never got in. I was Mr. February my senior year at Edison. I was head of the Key Club and head of the K Club on the student council. Loved Edison. I mean, I had at least 4 teachers in high school that were teaching night class at TU or ORU. And to sit there and think, well, they're teaching the same things to the college students, and for them to say, oh, you guys are a whole lot smarter than my college students. I mean, how it's blowing the smoke, it's making you feel great.
Sure.
And so made lots of A's in Edison, finished tied for number 1 in the class. I had my methods for studying. I had my own room at home and a hideaway bed sofa. So I would fold the bed up and study lying on my sofa during the day and then unfold it and sleep at night. But that was my little private area that I could study. And when it came time to decide where to go to school, maybe my shyness or my lack of adventuresomeness I applied at Westminster and got in, and applied at TU and got in, and just stayed at TU because I figured, well, if I really want to be a doctor and I really have to make A's to get in, I know I can sit in this room and study and make A's. And that worked.
You referred to shyness. Were you a shy young man?
Well, I didn't. I dated, but I just I wasn't quite as wild as not wild, but not as aggressive with girls. And because I wasn't a jock, that hurt me a little bit, I thought. Now looking back when I go to my reunions, I'm kind of the king because everybody knows what I've become, a neurosurgeon and all the things I've done with my life. And now I'm a star compared with some of these other guys that were the stars when they were younger. That makes me feel good. I just kept the course, focused, determined, didn't let anything get in my way, which made me different than lots and probably ended up with psychosocial issues that made family life and things different for me and more difficult for me, and with some rocky times in my married life because of me. I was married to medicine. I was married to my wife, but she was assigned the kids, assigned the house, assigned the checks, assigned the cleaning.
Yeah.
I was working half days, 6 to 6.
Right. Right. But when you said you were shy and so forth and didn't get in a social club, but you felt there must have been a confidence in you because you knew mentally, hey, I'm mastering this work.
That is correct.
So you had that going for you. When you walked down the hall, you knew who you were.
Yes. That got stronger as I moved further. Getting accepted to medical school and getting the only neurosurgical residency slot out of OU. There's a godlike power that neurosurgery bestows on you because of you do. Take somebody that's about to die and you save them. And take someone that no one knows what's wrong with them and figure it out and do the right surgery. There's a narcissistic flair to neurosurgeons. I've been told by psychologists that you don't want to ever be called a narcissist because that is incorrigible, unreversible, just terrible. But a narcissistic flair, you have to have some of that because you're the captain of the ship in the operating room. You got 15 people doing everything you want to. You got the family outside waiting on you. You got the smoothness of your surgery day moving along, wanting the patient to do well, the worry the next day, are they going to be okay when I make rounds the next morning? You got to have this confidence and bravado that allows you to do the same thing over and over every day.
Yeah. Before we continue, and I asked you before the interview if you wanted to discuss the health battle you're going through right now, and you said yes. Tell us what it is you're fighting.
Well, I'll make it short but long too. For about 3 years, I've had some breathing problems, and so I went to a pulmonologist, and we really never found anything specific. I always had a little bit of shortness of breath. It limited my exercise, but I was able to keep working, and nothing limited my ability to work and play and travel. And then I got tired of nobody telling me what was wrong. In July of 2021, I went to Denver to the National Jewish Hospital, which specializes in autoimmune disorders and pulmonary problems and figuring out difficult cases. And they determined that I had something called sarcoidosis. Well, for 15 years I've had what we identified as psoriatic arthritis, but I never really had any arthritic changes in my joints that disturbed me. I had to have my thumb fused because that joint was bad, but that's not typical of psoriatic arthritis. I was taking a medication for 15 years called Humira, and maybe that suppressed any worse symptoms and signs I might have had. So I come back from Denver. They worried that the Humira that I've been taking for 15 years had maybe caused the sarcoidosis. So I stopped the Humira, started something else. It was in the beginning of 2022 that I slowly started losing weight, didn't pay attention to it, starting out at 177 and losing down to the 160s Clothes didn't fit right, but I was stubborn and thought maybe it was still the sarcoidosis, even though my breathing was better. So in early May, I'd been having some reflux, and I went to a gastroenterologist, and he did an an endoscopy with a scope down into my stomach, and said my stomach looked okay. I didn't have a bunch of inflammatory changes of the lining of my stomach and the lining of my esophagus, like with bad reflux. But that same day, because some lab work earlier in the week had shown an elevated LDH, I had a CT scan of my abdomen on the 11th of May that showed a large left liver lobe tumor. I'm feeling pretty good when I get off a CT scanner and go back to the radiologist. And I walk in and he goes, "Jim, it's bad." I go, "What's bad? I just had an endoscopy. They said it was all good." And I'm like, "What's bad?" "Oh, it's real bad." So I tried to trick him into saying it was something besides cancer, but he said, "No, it's cancer." So 6 days later, I had a biopsy that proved that it is liver cancer with a combination of some biliary duct involvement, which makes it very unique. I sent the slides from St. John to MD Anderson, and they took 6 or 7 days and came up with the same diagnosis. I went to MD Anderson, and they've come up with a chemotherapy and immunotherapy plan for me. 2 days from now, I'll take my 4th chemotherapy session under the direction of Oklahoma cancer specialists here in Tulsa on the Broken Arrow Expressway, and Alan Keller, a great friend and a great oncologist. But they agreed with the same plan that MD Anderson did. I feel some better than when I started. Haven't gained any weight. The tumor is so large, it's at least peach size, pushing on my stomach. So for a while, I couldn't eat more than 3 or 4 bites, and I'd feel full because it was just taking up that room. And now, all of a sudden, I can eat as much as I want. I'm not gaining weight, but I have a good appetite. I feel fatigued all the time. I have a fullness in my stomach. With all this information in mind, I retired from practicing the end of May, closed down my office, the same office I've been in for 21 years, assigned my patients to 3 or 4 other doctors here in town, which has gone smoothly. Nobody's been too upset. There's a great big hole in my heart for my practice. There's a great big hole in my heart for I have a tumor that may not let me live 5 years, maybe even less. But I'm going to try to have some good days and do some things I haven't done. I have, in working as hard as I did, and I've been in solo practice. I was by myself since 2001. That was a self-inflicted issue I created, but because I was only doing spine surgery since 2001, and because I do a good job, I didn't have a lot of complications. And if you don't have a lot of complications, everything can run smoothly. You can go out of town for 2 or 3 days and have someone take your calls, and you can still manage things from 1,000 miles away, as long as you have somebody to back up if they have to go to the hospital. So by becoming a solo practice, I added to the issue of being totally consumed by medicine. Making rounds on Sunday morning and Saturday morning. And I've loved my life. I've had a great life. I was married for 40 years, and I think we grew apart, but all the things I've talked about before created me being different and a hard person to be married to. That happened in 1973, and fortunately I got married again in April of last year, which is a blessing. I am renewed youth-wise. And I don't know what I would do now if I didn't have a partner with this bad illness.
What's her name?
Her name is Patsy.
Yeah. How many chemo treatments must you take before they think you may see some success?
Well, a little disappointingly, last week, after 3 sessions, we did another CT scan, and there was minimal, if any, change. Now, the oncologist comes back and says, well, it may be too early to see any change because you've had some improvement in some of your symptoms. It's probably working. And so let's stay the course with at least this one more treatment. And I think they'll add 4 more on for me. I go and see him tomorrow, and we'll come up with a long-term plan. If I have to go back to MD Anderson for some more experimental things, I will. There have been some amazing results with the medications I'm taking as far as not necessarily cures, but shrinking the tumor so much that it just stays kind of at bay. It's there, but it's just not harming you. My liver function is good. My right liver lobe may have a couple areas of disease, but my liver enzymes and things are fine. I don't drink very much, but I could. Alcohol and usually what's funny about this disease is hepatocellular carcinoma. It usually comes from alcoholics and people that have had chronic hepatitis B or C that destroys the liver cells and creates a milieu for the cells to then become cancerous and divide extra rapidly. One of my best friends called me Jimmy Pants on Fire because I always went about 95 miles an hour, talk fast, think fast, anticipate what somebody's going to say before they say it. And even Patsy will say, I just can't rest on a Sunday afternoon. I got to keep going. But I'm trying to reduce my speed from 95 to about 25. I don't have the greatest sense of smell, but I haven't smelled very many roses in my life. And haven't seen some of the things I want to see. Now with still the COVID issues, traveling, and all the travel issues, COVID and the travel issues as far as overworked airline employees and lost baggage and all that. I'm not sure going to Europe's the perfect answer for all my bucket lists checkoffs, but I know I could travel here in America. There's things in America I haven't seen that I still would like to. I love Tulsa. I love medicine. I love my family. I have 2 great sons that we'll probably get into later. I'm closer to them now than I was for sure 9 years ago when we got the divorce. Divorce is never good, but grown boys that were put through this, they were not, I don't want to say they weren't wise enough or they sided with my ex-wife, which was okay. I accepted that. I didn't like it, but I accepted that. And so that's kind of been a sore subject for 9 years. And all of a sudden, now that I have this issue going on, we're extremely close. And it's almost makes me cry to think about it now. Catching up on things I missed.
You're so open about this. How do you handle it mentally? Obviously, depression is attacking your mind. And how do you, and so for those people who are listening to this and maybe going through the same thing of any kind of illness, how do you bring yourself out of that depression?
Well, what makes it worse for me is being a doctor and knowing a whole lot more than John Q. Public when they go see their oncologist or have a diagnosis made of cancer. I am very businesslike in making decisions in surgery and making decisions for telling a patient what they need to do. I was orderly. These are the options, and these are what we may find. This is how you may do. These are the complications. So I don't know. Again, it may just be my personality, but if I could sign something tomorrow that I had 5 good years, I'd sign that. Yeah, I'm a little bit depressed, but yet at a party or going out with friends now, I'm still trying to go out. I just don't have the staying power to stay out till 11 or 12. I still can be the life of the party. I still like making people laugh, making people happy. That's part of my giving. I just have given and given and given. And so I've told myself I'm going to continue to give like that until the end. Does that help me with my depression? Does that help me live longer? No, it doesn't. And also, they talk about men being able to box things away better than women. I just have a big box. I don't ruminate about what tomorrow is as much as I just want today to be okay and to love everybody around me. The text messages and the letters and the cards I'm getting are just overwhelming. People I haven't seen in a long time. So I can tell that I've lived a good life. I can tell that I've done a good job both medically and community-wise. And if it ends tomorrow or next week or next month, that's just the way it is. But I'll be proud of my track record and the waves and ripples I've left behind.
You think you became fatalistic?
Well, more than I was 10 years ago. I didn't have anything going on, yeah. But just, it is what it is. I think about having a car wreck. When I'm driving down the street, I always think something's going to happen to me, and something quickly could get you. I just am not going to suffer. I've seen way too many people suffer making bad decisions about continued treatment when there was no hope. Yes, there are miracles. Yes, somebody's calling me every week about ivermectin or things for cancer that's cured some people. Well, I don't think I'm at quite that point yet without trying the normal treatment plan that lots of smart doctors all over the country have figured out with trials and lots of testing. But I'm ready. If they tell me tomorrow that the jig's up, I'll be ready. I'll miss my granddaughters, my sons, my new wife. But my faith is strong enough to know that there's probably something better for me down the line, or some other job I can work hard at someplace.
Thank you for sharing, Jim. We want to cover actually 3 areas of your life: your medical profession, your love of cars, maybe that helps you get your mind off your health a little bit, and what led to ownership of Cain's Ballroom, and discuss the music business. So when did you've talked about already maybe an influence through your mother and all, and your grades. So what led you to make that decision that you were going to follow the medical field?
In my 8th grade, I was great in math. I love math. One of the accelerated programs at Wade Phillips was this new math program, only one in Tulsa Public Schools. So I love math. It just was just so simple. But in 8th grade, I had a first-year redhead science teacher. And all of us growing up had crushes on our teachers, one or more. And so I had a crush on this beautiful Mrs. Moore at Edison in the 8th grade. And so that's when we dissected frogs and dissected worms. And so, again, it was kind of a puzzle, and I liked that. So that's when I kind of started looking more at science. Then there's biology, and then there's anatomy at TU. But probably between, about my senior year in high school, I figured I'm going to go to medical school.
So then, I believe in 1972, you completed the medical school prerequisite.
Yes.
What was prerequisite? What did you have to accomplish there?
Great. Not very many people know, but you only need 90 hours to get in medical school. So truly, I didn't graduate from TU in 1972. I had like 103 or 106 hours. But OU accepted me. I had such a strong letter written for me by Dr. Levengood, the head of the life science department at TU, that when I took my interview in Oklahoma City, I had a substitute interviewer who happened to be the dean, and the first hour, 3 hours of interview, first hour he read this letter from Dr. Levengood, and he goes, "You're going to get in, just go the next 2 hours." So that just one letter from a wonderful professor did that for me. Medical school, first 2 years are in the classroom. Last 2 years are on rotations where you're less than intern, but you start doing intern-like things. But became friends with all the neurosurgeons and the head of the neurosurgery department. Continued to make good grades on my test scores and on my classroom work. And then in 1976, when I graduated from medical school, I got accepted to the neurosurgery program at OU. It was an unusual program because it wasn't as academic as Columbia or Rush in Chicago. We had in-town neurosurgeons, kind of our professors, instead of a great big faculty on campus. So I had professors at St. Anthony's and Mercy, Baptist, and we'd make rotation where we'd go operate with all these doctors all over town. And I got to do a lot of surgery in my training. Nowadays, you don't do a lot of surgery and training until you become chief resident. But I was doing brain surgery and back surgery when I was a second-year resident. So that gave you a lot of confidence. And your professor would just stand there and, you go ahead and do it. You do this. So I have to thank them over and over and over. All the guys that came out of the program are all good surgeons. Don't have as much contact with the program now as I did. But in the 70s and early 80s, it was a great, great program. Always thought when I finished the residency that I would want to come back to Tulsa and practice. That didn't work out because there were some changes in Medicare reimbursement, and none of the groups here in town wanted to hire anybody else because they're afraid their reimbursement was going to fall off a whole lot based on DRGs, which is a way of monetizing and assigning a unit value to every surgery you do. This surgery is a 20-unit surgery. This one's a 30-unit surgery, and per unit you get paid so much. So nobody wanted to take a partner. So I went to Muskogee for 8 years, 3 years by myself. That also made me a great, careful surgeon. Because Muskogee, if there's a problem with a patient in Muskogee, everybody in Muskogee knew about it about 45 minutes later. Everybody would know. So I was very cautious, but did a good job. A Muskogee boy came back and joined me the 4th year, and we were together for 8 years. A total of, I was there 8 years. I just realized Tulsa was better for my boys, better for my family. My family was here. Her family moved to Tulsa, so it was better.
You could have chosen many areas. I've asked you broadly why you got in the medical field, but why neurosurgery?
That's great. Okay, you get a taste of everything in your internship. Plastic surgery would have been something I would have liked, but my first year of medical school, I was hired by a neurosurgeon, Charles Bondurant, to help him with rounds and surgery in the morning, and in the afternoon, take care of his house and his kids. His wife had multiple sclerosis and couldn't hardly walk, so I would take the kids to the country club to swim. I would mow the yard. I'd paint. I would just be a gopher, jack of all trades for him that he couldn't do when he was working. But I went to the office with him. I went to surgery with him, and so I saw early on the preciseness, the beauty of the nervous system, spinal cord, the nerves, the brain, the delicacy, the accuracy, not a lot of infections, didn't like pus, didn't like urology, didn't want to be a gynecologist. And I just knew that cardiovascular surgery and neurosurgery were kind of the top of the food chain. I just kept going. I thought this would be a wonderful profession, honorable. I had great hands, no tremor, good eyes, and so that helped.
You're in solo practice, and what did you focus on?
In Muskogee, I had to do everything down there: aneurysms, hematomas on the brain, ruptured discs, spinal stenosis. And I did that through 2001. But I realized that I wasn't doing very many brain surgeries. It wasn't because I was cut out of that. It was just luck of the draw. I just didn't see as many of them. And so that's when in 2001, when I left a big group because I just want to do spine, that's what I've done now for 21 years, which made my lifestyle, nighttime ER call, much better. Spine doesn't, there's broken backs and broken necks, but far less than the head injuries that you take care of as a general practicing neurosurgeon.
Well, let me just bring you way back to the first time you even cut on a person. And you knew the next day you were going to do that, and you're a student, and you're going to have a surgeon follow you. I mean, can you even remember that, how nervous you must have been?
Oh, God, I forget so many things. I was most nervous as an intern, your last day of your internship on general surgery. They let me do a gallbladder. Well, that's when the gallbladder incisions were 10 inches and not laparoscopic like we do now. And I was scared because I just didn't like general surgery, but I had to do it. And, I was scared then, but I'd done so little bit of neurosurgery for so long with my mentor, Dr. Bondurant, and then it just went right into I wasn't nervous. I knew I could do it. MRI scans made things a whole lot easier. I mean, you knew the exact anatomy compared with the neurosurgeons in the 50s and 60s. Lots of things were exploratory. You got to go, something's wrong in there, we're going to go look for it, but you don't know what the hell you're going to find. But MRI scans make you 98, 99% sure where, what side, in front of the spinal cord, behind the spinal cord, all those things changed, life-changing for all neurosurgeons.
Yeah. What would be the longest surgery you ever worked on? How many hours?
Well, I wasn't the main surgeon, but I was there for 23 hours on I think the baby was less than 2 years old, had a large venous malformation at the back of the brain, and venous is the blood that is leaving the brain. Venous, arterial goes to the brain, venous leaves. And so we had to very carefully burn, tie off, eliminate all the feeders to this thing to try to shrink it down so it could be taken out. Well, I remember going to the bathroom once, and I remember having one meal. Again, I wasn't at the front line of this surgery, but that was the longest I had to stand around the operating room. And unfortunately, the baby, it was a terrible surgery. Unfortunately, we knew from the beginning it might not turn out well, and it did not. That's the longest. I've done some 6 and 8 hours. We'll take small breaks. But I got quicker as time went on. And I can tell you, the guy that does the 6-hour surgery and I do it in 2 hours, his chance of infection is much higher because the wound's open that much longer and germs are flying around. So, knock on wood, I've been very good about not having very many infections in my whole life.
You talked about fire on pants, always fast, fast, fast. You even brought it to the surgery room, right? Right. It must be tough because you haven't been able to save everybody.
No.
And so we always think about the doctor who has to go out to the parents, to the family, and you know what you're going to have to do. Talk about that.
Well, I will say that when you know things are bad or a complication occurs in the middle of surgery, you're already thinking about how you're going to explain it. Because we're portrayed as being perfect, never make mistakes. Yeah, it's how you handle the families is very, very important. Explaining it to them, making sure that they understand that you did your best. This is what happened. It'll probably be okay. These are the things we're doing now to make sure it becomes okay. If it doesn't, we'll take them back to surgery and fix it again. And then there's that being able to talk to one family about all these bad news, and then go do another surgery that's really easy surgery and go see the next family. So you kind of have a switch where you turn off one emotion and have to go to another emotion.
In the same day.
The same day.
Right. But that's got to be a thrill to know that I am going to give these people good news.
It's a thrill.
Yeah.
It is a thrill. You're proud. You're happy. But I never became too confident. I had some medical students, co-students, that they would just jump right up in the beginning and start doing something. I was always kind of a little bit cautious, which made me, even though I've done a surgery 1,000 times, I'm still scared when I go in a little bit that I don't want to mess up, which gave me an advantage over lots of the guys that I see that are just a little bit more reckless. I started doing neurosurgery in 1977, so I've done it for 45 years. That's a long time.
How many surgeries do you think you did in one day?
I've done 5 in one day, and then maybe one later that night. I've done over 10,000 surgeries. That's a lot.
But 5 in one day, how exhausting that had to be.
It was. You'd eat. Eating would always give me some more energy. Didn't drink coffee. Never had a cup of coffee in my life. I like Frappuccino now, but I just have an internal extra energy switch that I could turn on.
My wife, Margaret, watched one of your procedures, and she talked about this loud music that was playing. Do most doctors do that? What type of music is it, and why is the use of loud music important to you?
It is relaxing because, again, I sing along with the music. I know something about the music. I teach people in the operating room some trivia about the music. So that's relaxing for me. I just read a study out of Europe that said that there were better outcomes with loud rock and roll music for surgeons. So when things get tense, or I have to ask people to do things, I'll say, "Turn it down. I can't stand it. I can't stand it right now." And then we turn it back up later. I usually let the girls in the operating room pick what music to listen to because I like all genres of music. wrap doesn't fit in quite with my operating room, so we don't do that. But
Does it keep your energy level high too?
it does, for sure.
And then you have a bandana on your head, I think, and
I have a cap on to hide my hair, and then I have a band that has the headlight, and I have magnifying glasses that magnify 3.5 times. I use a microscope sometimes, but when you have what they're called loops, when you have loops on, you can move your head very rapidly and see things very quickly, whereas the microscope, you can't move the microscope very quick. You have to grab it and move it, and so I have a bigger field quickly with my magnifying glasses.
already referred to technology, but how has technology changed your profession to this day?
A lot in the big medical centers, not as much in my setting. We have better light. We have better retractors to hold tissue back. We have, for cranial things, for brain things, it's changed a lot, but because I haven't done that for 21 years, it just hasn't affected me as much. The incisions have gotten smaller. I mean, I can do a lumbar rupture disc easily through a less than 1 inch incision. I joke patients can't tell the difference between a 1 inch or a 2 inch incision on the back. Pain-wise afterwards, they can't tell. But we just are more meticulous. Our cauteries, our instruments that burn small vessels are better. I've talked about speed. I really never thought I went too fast or left things behind because I was going too fast, or had complications because I was going too fast. But I just don't fiddle around much. I just keep on going.
Yeah.
Because I've done it so many times.
It may have been 10, 15 years ago. I had surgery at the base of my neck. Dr. John Coates, who you knew very well.
Yes.
Wonderful reputation. He knew I needed it, and on New Year's Eve, he says, I'm going to get everybody together, and we're going to do this right now. And I woke up on New Year's Day. He got the staff together, and then they took a bone from my hip, placed it in my neck. I think Dr. Fields, Eugene Fields, would have done that. And so I only bring that up because that's probably something they don't do anymore.
Well, I've gone away from taking bone from the hip because too many people complained that was the worst pain. Mm-hmm. So now we have some plastic box-like spacers that we fill full of bone chips or fill full of a material that makes bones fuse together, and it works great. It works great. So you've got 100 different sizes to choose from. So at the end of taking out the disc and the ruptured part or the spur, you've got all these different boxes to choose from that fit in there nicely with some bone-making material, and then usually use a small metal plate on. He may have used a plate then or may not have used a plate in your neck, but the plate ensures that what you put in there doesn't move and increases the chance of healing. So that's my favorite surgery. I could do that all day and all night. People do great. You don't even cut a muscle to go through the front of the neck. You just move the muscles aside. It's slick. And when everybody talks about neck surgery, they always think from behind. But the anterior discectomy that was developed in the 50s, it's been bread and butter surgery for neurosurgeons forever.
Never forget the night before. He said he was coming in through the front, and he said, I don't want to alarm you, but you have a vocal cord in there, and I know you make your profession of that, and the chances are great we're not going to harm you, but there is that possibility. And it didn't, and then the whole surgery was fine. I never had any complications at all. So it was very smooth.
One thing that I have determined over time that has made my practice as strong as it's been is the way I handle patients. When I went to Muskogee in '81 by myself, of course, the Hippocratic Oath is to do no harm, but I promised that I wouldn't do a surgery on anybody that I wouldn't do on myself or have myself have done. So that made me very conservative. Also, when I went there, I had plenty of work in Muskogee, so I didn't want to operate on everybody. So I would choose to do injections or traction or physical therapy or bracing, things to give people a chance to get well. And I see somebody at least once every 3 or 4 months that comes up and says, "Do you remember me?" I go, "No, I don't remember you." And he goes, "Yeah, I came to you and 2 other surgeons that said I needed surgery and you said no, and look, I'm great." So that's one thing I always did. Second thing is now medicine has changed so much because most of the time when you go see your internist or your GP, he is locked into a computer. He's putting in data as you're talking to him, and that lessens eye contact. And the physical examination is now so abbreviated that there's not a lot of hand contact. So one thing I always do to patients, and it wasn't premeditated, it just worked out this way, is I always talk to patients about something else, how their work is going, or, those are a new pair of shoes, those are really nice, I like those, or Miss, your hair is different this time. Just do something that kind of, maybe it disarms them, but it makes them think that I'm not just about throughput, get them in and out of there. I also touch patients because I always do reflex examination, muscle strength testing, straight leg raising. I touch them. And there's other doctors. I'll get a 10-page report from another doctor and ask the patient, "Did he even touch you?" "No, he never touched me." So I'm bragging, but I'm saying that, medicine is shifting to later on we're going to put our finger in a machine and it's going to diagnose everything. I understand that. But there's still the art of medicine, and there's the empathy and the compassion and the friend. I'm your friend. I'm not your enemy, and I want, this is what I would do, and this is what I do for my wife. There's just unique things that if I had another job right now teaching medical students, I could probably do a good job of teaching them things that they don't ever get taught.
But aren't there some doctors who don't want to get close to the patient, and for some reason that gives them some confidence that I don't know, is that true?
Well,
certainly not like you have just described. You want them to know you're human and I've touched you. And do you see them the day before or the morning before you go into surgery? And some doctors don't want to even see them that day.
Yeah. So it's just the way everybody's personality is different.
Yeah.
Again, that pride of making a post-op round. We've seen them in the room after surgery, and my leg pain's gone, doctor. I feel so great. I mean, that's that little jolt of a stimulant in your system, and then seeing them before to tell them, to promise what I can and can't do, and I'll do a good job, and I think you'll do perfect. And
yeah. We should point out that you are a founder, the founder of Tulsa Spine and Specialty Hospital.
Yes, sir.
And I believe mostly St. John doctors?
Mostly in the beginning. I was really the second tier. There was like 10 or 15 founders, and I was the next one. But I've been there since the beginning, 2002. We're having our 20th anniversary this year. Yes, we determined that we're not in control of the big hospitals. We as surgeons couldn't get a special instrument within a month at some of these big hospitals, whereas at our hospital, if we need something to make patient care better or safer, we can get it done. There wasn't 14 different boards and different layers of bureaucracy and administration to go through. That one thing that made us better. Small is sometimes better. We do 50 or 60% Medicare, so we're not like we're cherry picking just the easiest cases. Now somebody that's got a terrible heart and terrible lungs and terrible infections everywhere, they probably won't come to our hospital because we don't have all the people to take care of all those things. But we do big back surgeries, we do 10 level fusions, and we go through the chest to do some spine surgeries, and we go through the stomach to do some spine surgeries. We have great ENT doctors, the biggest group of ENT doctors in town. We have several great orthopedic surgeons that work out there, besides the neurosurgeons and mainly the guys that do spine.
So this was the first physician-owned hospital in Oklahoma. Isn't that true?
It was either second or third, because Oklahoma Surgical Hospital at City of Faith was just before us. And in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma Spine Hospital may have been right before us also. But they all three came about the same time.
Okay, you mentioned City of Faith. Don't you have Oral Roberts to thank for the fact that you could start your own hospital? Because when he wanted to start his, he went to Oklahoma City and he got legislation changed to eliminate Oklahoma law, which required a certificate of need in order to create a hospital. And unwittingly, he opened the door for you to do that. Is that true?
I believe that would be correct, because he did ruffle lots of feathers and cause lots of problems, but we needed it. It's a wonderful idea.
Right, but I remember when he was trying to get his hospital, I remember the other hospitals say we're overbedded the way it is. Dr. C.T. Thompson, who just passed, I interviewed him, and he spoke a lot about his opposition in St. Francis to Oral Roberts. So that's kind of how I'm into this. But it was Oral who went after the certificate of need and said, no, you don't need that.
That's correct.
And then it opened the door for you guys.
That's correct. And by the time we did ours, which was long after Oral Roberts, after City of Faith, it was a different mindset then. The big hospitals were still against us, but establishing centers of excellence, where some hospitals do things better than some other hospitals, nobody could argue against that. We have less infections than anybody in the state. We have, just high patient satisfaction. The nurses love working there. We don't do anything special except we're a big team together where everybody's going the same direction.
And the hospital is operating today.
Yes.
You probably had surgery this morning.
Great.
When we're talking about surgeons, I keep thinking male, but there must be female surgeons too, are there? And
yes.
Not as many, or are they coming on more these days?
Not as many, but I just saw pictures of the white coat ceremony for OSU medical students that start right now. And there's 50% of them are women now going into medicine. There's lots of internists, there's general practitioners, lots of gynecologists that are female. We have a great ENT, female physician at Tulsa Spine Hospital. There's some orthopedic surgeons that are female that come to our hospital. Yeah, things are changing. My class back in '72, it wasn't 50-50, but we had the most females in the medical school class that ever before, changing then. I think there's certain specialties that are probably better for men than women, but women would argue against that.
All right. So look, you have so much to be proud of, your own medical profession, but then the hospital as well. On top of all that, how many would that hospital employ today?
I think we employ 200, I believe.
You have an interest in cars.
Yes.
When did that interest begin? Is that at Edison? Where is it? Where does it begin?
I don't have a great memory of my mom taking me to school, but I do remember when I turned 16, they promised that they'd buy me a car. And so my first car was a 1968 red GTO. It was only the two-barrel. My dad thought it'd be smarter than give me something extra fast. And it was an automatic, which most of them were standards. But it was beautiful. And I loved taking care of cars. I just love the beauty of cars. Again, I'm not a mechanic. Didn't want to become a mechanic. I just love cars. So I've had over 55 cars. Trade frequently. For a while, everybody joked I hadn't bought a set of tires for a car because I didn't have them long enough, but now I have. Simple cars. I had a Pinto, I had Audi, I had several BMWs, I've had Dodge Caravan and a family car, and Riviera, and a Lancia, Lancia Lancia Beta Coupe, Italian car. That was a mess. It wasn't so good. Volkswagens, Mazda RX-7. But when I got to Muskogee in '81, we had a powder baby blue Mercedes station wagon, which I loved. That was a family car. Then I started buying Porsches. I've had every kind of Porsche. And now I finally graduated to an electric Porsche. That's not bragging, but it's the best car I've ever had. It is. Just sitting in the car turns me on. So I mean, that's just, I don't have a hobby. I don't collect stamps or coins, or I don't hunt and fish. I don't shoot anything. But I do like cars.
I was going to ask you about electric cars and their future. Right now in 2022, the demand is probably greater than the infrastructure will allow. We have grid iron issues, all that's facing us now, but I would imagine in the next 10 years some of that will be solved. What do you see of electric cars and how fast they're going to be accepted?
Well, I think the battery life will slowly increase, I hope. I think the price of the batteries will come down, I hope. But yes, there is a problem. They're selling so many electric cars so fast now. If you look around town, there's lots of Teslas. And there's lots of charging stations, but charging stations don't take some time. Some of them rapid charge 20, 30 minutes. Well, I guess you could plan to eat lunch or eat dinner while your car is charging if you're traveling across the country. But somebody said they traveled from Chicago to L.A. and they had to charge 6 times, 2 or 3 hour downtime every time you charge. I mean, there's some disadvantages to it. But because I have a charger here at the house, I just charge it at night when it gets low. And so the quietness of the car, that first second of acceleration is just, the Porsches I had in the past that were loud and fast, screaming, I liked all those, but now I'm old and maybe I like my loud rock and roll music, but I like my soft, quiet car.
Do you have to pipe in the sound of a motor?
They do have that now.
Yeah.
And it sounds pretty good.
Did it increase your electric bill here in your house much?
I am embarrassed. I can't tell you.
Okay.
It's so high right now.
Best you don't know.
That's you might know, but you hadn't told me. She wanted me to get rid of the car recently with all the things going on in my life because it's expensive. Until I let her drive it. Now she's driven it several times last month. She goes, no, let's not get rid of it. It's too nice.
Yeah.
She's a car person too.
Good. Ronnie Watson, who is a good friend of yours, good friend of Bill Lobeck, who is a car person himself. Tell me, Ronnie's 80th birthday, you traveled on Route 66. Tell us about that event.
Okay, so we all rounded up about 11, had lunch at Mother Road Market, and then there was about 30 or 40 cars. We all got together, and the police highway patrol escort, and went on old Route 66 all the way to Pops outside.
Oh yes,
Oakland City.
Right.
Before we all stopped there and then came back. It was just fun. We weren't driving fast, and highway patrol was make sure we could go through all the towns. It was a great time. It's a great idea. I know Bill had a great time. Ronnie had a great time. And lots of nice cars, nicer than mine. That was several years ago.
I know this present car, electric is specialty. Is there a car that you said, I should never have sold that one?
Well, in retrospect, I shouldn't have sold the GTO, but because I really didn't own it, my parents did. That'd be a hard one. I don't know. I am always looking at the next best thing that comes down the road, and so I have very few regrets about getting rid of a car, because the next car I get is always was better for me, or I wouldn't have traded. I've traded cars as often as I did. You don't make a whole lot of money. I have lately, based on the market being so upside down. But no, that is another maybe good or bad thing about my personality is, I don't look back very much.
Yeah. Cain's Ballroom. Now, you've already talked about your love of music, and we can talk about just a little bit of history of Cain's, but what brings you to Cain's Ballroom?
My eldest son graduated from TU.
And his name?
Chad. He is 44, so he was about 22, graduated from TU, and took a job with Morgan Stanley. I had no familiarity with stockbrokers and stock at that point in my career, but his job was to cold call people, see, just pick a number out of the phone book and say, "Would you like to set up an account with Morgan Stanley? I can help you." He didn't like that. He's shy like I am. It's hard to sell a product that you can't guarantee. I mean, it's lots of issues with that. So he goes to New York City 3 months before 9/11 for the Morgan Stanley training in the World Trade Center, and comes back and just says, I just don't think I like this. And so for some reason, we decided to lease a building across from the Reynolds Arena on 11th Street. It was a bar and small grill, and we leased that building, and Chad dabbled in both bar sales, food sales, and he'd schedule bands on Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. So that's how he got involved in the band scene, just local bands. The building was owned by an Iraqi who promised that he would go back home and sell the building to us someday, as soon as things smoothed out in his country. But that never happened. The building needed lots of work. The kitchen needed lots of work. It was not very nice. TU was selling beer across the street in the activity center for the same price or less. So there was no motivation for the kids to walk across 11th Street and come buy beer for more money, except for the bands. So all of a sudden, we still liked the idea of doing this, but it was the last week of August 2002. I'm laying in bed watching the 10 o'clock news. We always watched usually Channel 2, but for some reason we're on Channel 6 that night. And then the reporter goes, "Historic venue for sale, Cain's Ballroom." I said, wow. The important part of this story is that I'd never been to Cain's. I left town in 72. Larry Schaefer didn't buy the Cain's till 76. Made it big, rock and roll, country and western. Took all new bands up and coming. But I wasn't here. I didn't come back till 89. And so I didn't pay attention to Cain's Ballroom when I was in Muskogee or in Oklahoma City. But I did know that it was something I needed to look at. So we called the real estate person on Wednesday, come up with a contract Wednesday afternoon, show it to the owner Thursday, and buy it on Friday.
Wow.
I walked in there and saw all the portraits on the wall. I saw that it was not being given the TLC that it needed. Didn't have air conditioning. Had hung ceiling low that made you feel a little bit more claustrophobic in there for 12,000 square feet. The women's bathroom had like 7 stalls. The men's bathroom had 2 stalls and 2 troughs. So you kind of go, oh my God, what am I doing? But we bought it with the idea that immediately we'd have to shut it down and rehab it. So we bought it last of August, 1st September. The first show that we co-sponsored with Danny Finnerty, who used to own it for a short period of time between Schaefer and us. We lost money in the first show, but I remember all the work that everybody had to do in the bathrooms the whole night because none of the toilets worked, and plunging the girls and so. So we stayed open until like March or April, doing some shows, learning the business. Schaefer had told us, because we were really closer to Schaefer than Finnerty, Schaefer had told us if you win 2 out of 5, you'll be okay. And just, if these agents call you from L.A. and say, I got this new band, please take it. You don't know anything about the band, but you take it because he'll give you the next band. That's also good. So we did some of that, but closed down between April and October, I think, of 2003. Dwight Yoakam was our opening act when we opened back up. $1.5 million into it on top of the price of the building, and but had to buy the building to the south of the Cains and put in 44 bathrooms because BOCA, or the International Building Codes, say that when you're designated a bar, you have to have a potty per 4 people, and our occupancy was 1,600. So we put in 22 women, 22 men, put in a unisex bathroom for handicap. And then we used the new building that we bought. Besides the bathrooms, we made a little side room called Bob's that we'd serve some food out of and have smaller events, smaller people in there playing that have 150 people. So we used it like that for a while. And then the rest is history. Chad was here and started running it with a couple employees that we hired. Hunter, my 40-year-old son, was currently, when we bought it, at a school in Orlando called Full Sail, S-A-I-L. I don't know where they got the name, but it's an audio engineering school. So I thought, Hunter's learning audio engineering skills. Chad's the business guy. Maybe this would be perfect. So Hunter comes back in 2003, and amazingly, they've been able to maintain a marriage with lots of rough spots since then. Hunter's more laid back. Chad's more like me, OCD. But Hunter's the poster guy and the ticket guy and does some of the shows, books some of the shows. Chad books the big shows and keeps track of all the monies. We have stayed on the straight and narrow with the fire marshal. We do not oversell. We've got air conditioning, which makes it more pleasant experience for people. The bathrooms are wonderful. We did have experience with the bar on 11th Street, so we knew that beer and alcohol, it makes your money. If you break even on ticket sales, you'll have the cushion of making money on the alcohol. So my thought was if you have a bathroom that you can go to without waiting in line, you'll get back in line and buy another beer. Now that's way perverted, and that's tending to overserve, but we also try not to overserve too, and we've had very few run-ins with bad actors and fights. Yes, we've had some fights. Yes, we've had some people accusing us of the security guards being mean and roughing them up. But you know, we're in a situation where after 10 o'clock and people had 5 or 6 beers, it's all bets are off. I mean, it can be wild. Yeah. Boyfriends, girlfriends.
When you were buying this building, you were buying such history. I believe it built in 1924. Was it true as a garage for W. Tate Brady's automobiles?
His name is on the outside of the building. Built in 1924. It was automobile repair, then an automobile dealership, and then finally, it wasn't very long before it was then used more as a dance hall.
Madison W. Daddy Cain purchased the building in 1930, named it Cain's Dance Academy.
That's correct. And they'd have 10 cents, where the men would pay 10 cents to dance with women. And that was back during Prohibition. And so nobody weren't selling booze. They'd been selling beer, but they weren't selling alcohol. And people would leave and go across the street and buy moonshine, bootleg stuff bring back in flasks in their boots. The story about Bob Wills, who made us famous in 1935, January 1st. The trifecta of the building, Cain's Ballroom, Bob Wills, which was a great entertainer, and KVOO,
Yep.
who had, 100,000 kilowatts and could broadcast from east to west coast before the FCC restricted
50,000 watts, right? Yeah.
Because I had a patient tell me once that he was coming back from World War II off the coast of Washington, and the captain of the ship brought him up to the tower and said, "Here, your hometown's playing on the radio." I mean, what a story to tell him. So everything blew up. Bob Wills was the first performer to have a #1 song, #1 movie, and I mean, it's just kind of a Will Rodgers kind of a guy too.
Right. He was on KVOO, near Daily Show, performed weekly. Then we bring in Leon Russell and his band. They were booked regularly at Cain's to add to the story of Cain's. Yeah, this is, and I noticed last year, 2021, Polestar ranked Cain's Ballroom at number 12 worldwide for ticket sales at club venues.
Right. There's lots of clubs that don't submit their numbers, but we do. We think submitting the numbers is helpful for bands to look at places to go because of the sellouts. Last 1 week we had 3 sellouts, which is really good for us. The boys have been very honest. This is a business that can have money going out the back door and fudging the numbers and things to make more. But Chad has stayed straight with the agents, and they're calling us. So in the beginning, we had to call agencies to say, "Can so-and-so come play?" We had people that would rent the building and bring a band in, so that was just a neutral thing, and we'd get the alcohol sales. But now it's 75% of the time the bands are calling us now, and so it's running smoothly now. You know, you could ask George Kaiser, you could ask David Sharp, big landowner downtown, who we bought the extra building from. Yes, they had lots of properties down there that weren't developed, but all of a sudden we took something that was kind of quietly important and made it and resurrected it back to something that more people have heard about the Cain's Ballroom in America than they've heard about Philbrook. I mean, it's funny.
No question. The dance floor, is that special? Wasn't it noted for being spring-loaded at one time? Is that still true? And the maple floor, and that's an important part of it, so tell us.
It is maple. It's been now replaced twice since we bought it. But when we did the first rehab in 2003, we did not find springs. We found trusses that were far enough apart that allowed it to have some bounce, and some of those were cracked. We were getting lots of dips in the floor where it was unlevel and people were falling, so that's why we had to replace it. Then we replaced it, and the replacement, believe it or not, some of the nails rusted and the replacement floor failed really quickly. So now we have a floor that is still picnic bench, a picnic table design. Small rectangles getting bigger rectangles. So somebody uses the word picnic table. And it has some bounce. The combination of sweat, beer, and kids bouncing up and down, it's put through the it's tested every night.
Just think of all the lives it has affected, not just those who came to listen, but performers. Curly Lewis, I interviewed, who was a great fiddler, as we say. In fact, I interviewed him on the stage of Cain's Ballroom. You may not remember that, but you helped make that happen. Tommy Alsop, interviewed him, and he'd come in from Claremore, and he'd just stand and mouth wide open. We know what a great musician he became, and so many others that this influenced just by standing there watching performers. It's just great. And it was known as country, western, and western swing. But then the Sex Pistols appeared in Cain's Ballroom in 1978. Tell us that story.
Well, as much as I know about it is, again, this is one of these groups that Larry Schaefer took a chance on. I think they played 8 places in the United States. It was a couple days after the concert in Tulsa. They played in San Francisco, and then everything fell apart, and they went back to England. But it was a snowy January or February, because I've got pictures of Ku Klux Klansmen outside boycotting these guys. There were 4 crazy guys from England, very anti-establishment, but it came off, and we got recognition because of that.
You get recognition because of Sid Vicious.
He put his hand through the wall of our green room. The green room was very small back then, behind the stage, but he was mad, and he put his hand through the plasterboard, and we kept that and framed this 24 by 24 piece of plasterboard. That was, again, that's what Schaefer did. So many nice things. I mean, just some great things, not nice. Schaefer did so many things that made the Cains big in a different way than Bob Wills, because he new rock, old rock, the Willie Nelsons, Merle Haggard, the Bad Boys from Texas. He just had them all the time. And so people knew that there was always going to be something going on at the Cains. There used to be a little area for children in the back, like a little play area. Bob Wills also said that they wouldn't stop playing because they're afraid people would go across the street and not come back if they go get some booze. So they'd all have, like I said, flasks in their boots, and they just take a little nip every once in a while. Just keep right on playing because they didn't want the fans to leave.
So we've got that history, and then I just saw advertised maybe a few weeks ago the group, and I get a kick out of the names of groups now: Insult Attack, King Cabbage Brass Band, Blue Whale Comedy Fest are appearing at Cain's Ballroom.
Yes, we've diversified ourselves beyond mud wrestling, which Larry Schaefer did a couple times back in the 70s and 80s. We've been successful with some comedy shows. We've been successful with some burlesque shows, and so we learn. Chad has learned. We'd rather book things that make money. We don't want to, book somebody. I think they're going to sell 1,600 tickets and sell 300. The bands don't like 300 ticket sales because they don't want to be listed in Polestar magazine that they only sold 300 tickets in Tulsa. So sometimes bands will cancel a show because they just don't want that information ever put out. Bands come and go. I mean, we'll book a band that hadn't had a new album in 3 years. That's hard. Whereas we have Marcus Mumford coming in October, and he has a brand new album come out in September. What's perfect timing? I mean, it's already sold out. It's sold out in one day. So we don't advertise on the radio very much. We do for country and western. We don't advertise on billboards at all. We don't. There used to be the rag magazines that we used to have here that aren't popular now, or not even there. I don't even see them. It's word of mouth, social media, Facebook, Instagram. Hunter's big on Instagram and putting things out, and it's just we've learned. I mean, 20 years, Chad and Hunter have learned how to make this business go, and yet at the same time, we want Tulsa to be proud of us because it's come up 100-year anniversary of that building being built, and still going, because there's not very many places, if any, that have continuously been serving booze and music for 100 years.
Right. So can we see a country act there these days? Is
Yes.
there one coming in or been?
Yes, they blow up. Those country acts blow up pretty pretty big. They'll come up with one big hit, and all of a sudden they'd rather be the opening act for Luke Bryan or something than come to the Cains by themselves. But yes, we still do. I mean, Blake Shelton started there. Luke Bryan started there. Just goes on and on. Jason Aldean started there. Chad's got all these memories of meeting all these guys.
You have an opportunity, if you want to meet these people, to do that, don't you?
I try to. The ones I really am most interested in. Yes, I'll go back and thank them for coming. We have usually meet them back in the back. We have a big separate building that we bought. It's called our green room. It is beautiful. Ping pong table, bathrooms. I mean, so the artists really like getting off the bus. Some of them like to stay on the bus, but when they see this room, they'll get off the bus and move around more. So I'll go back and try to meet them all and just say thanks for coming. Appreciate it. Your tour manager's great, and we'd love for you to come back.
They're nice people, I would imagine, for the most part.
They're very nice people. The pandemic shut down my ability to see them as much because they didn't want to see anybody. But it's loosening up a little bit. They're all still scared. Gary Clark Jr. came to town. They're all real scared. They all weren't wearing masks, but they're, one of them gets sick, screws up the next night. 2 or 3 of them get sick. It really screws it up.
I thought it was great. The OK Pop Museum is just across the street. That had to be good for OK Pop and for Cain's.
Yes, I think it's going to be great. We just need about $20 more million from the state, which the state has and needs to fund. They funded the Oklahoma Historical Society building. I know the state's helping with the Indian Museum. It's just not fair. It's all ready to go except for the money to set up the displays. It's a beautiful building. I don't know if you've been inside of it yet, but it's unbelievable. They have a rooftop deck that looks down over the Cains. So many things. The windows are centered on looking across the street at the Cains. It is a little intimidating size-wise because there's a little overhang that goes over towards Main Street. And then we got these condos just south of us. So we're kind of getting crowded in. But I think we'll make something north into Main Street and everybody will go that way. Now, we've reached a critical mass of museums. I mean, somebody can come to town and buy a ticket to Bob Dylan, Woody Guthrie, Oklahoma Pop, and then work in Gilcrease and Philbrook. Somebody could spend 2 days here, 3 days here, and see lots of things that they never knew were here in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
OK Pop is all Oklahoma connected. Movies, radio, television, literature. It just makes sense that Bob Will's bus, I think, is going to be in the OK Pop. So things that happened in Cain's across the street will be on display in OK Pop. So this is a meant-to-be thing.
Right. I agree with that. There'll probably be meet and greets, performers at Cain's that might have a meet and greet at Oklahoma Pop and have a little private 2-song session for some donors or something. I mean, there's so many things they'll do. Jeff, who's running the thing, he's smart and just is waiting. I mean, nothing more they can do until they get that money.
Well, I did attend, my wife and I did attend OK Pop opening, and then we walked across the street and we heard Mavis Staples sing. So there was that combination of both venues. She's great. And it was fun to enjoy that. So, all right, you've had an influence there too. Medical world, the physician's own hospital, and Cain's Ballroom. You've improved and saved for hundreds of years to come in our city. So all that together has got to make you feel real good. So if you get down, you can say, well, I'm going to choose to think about the great things I accomplished.
I don't forget those things. It's a glow that all these things give me that makes me who I am. I really, I've lived Tulsa. I could have gone off to school someplace else. I could have left medical school and gone someplace else. But I like Oklahoma. I like Oklahomans. We were a friendly bunch of people. I like to smile and make other people smile. And with my practice and with Cain's, I've done that.
I'd like to ask what advice you give to students going out in the world, maybe into the medical profession, whatever, what kind of advice do you give we have many students listening to this, Voices of Oklahoma, so what would you say?
I think choosing a lifestyle is very important. Some people are 8 to 4 people. Some people are excitement junkies and want to work midnight to noon in the emergency room. When you start in medical school, you'll select out what you like as far as blood with surgery versus infectious disease specialist, lung specialist. But going back to what I first said, just choosing a lifestyle. Think about your family. Think about how you can be a better father than I was for 40 years because of being absentee parent most of the time. I'd go to their sporting events, but I wasn't there for changing diapers, and I wasn't there for sex education talks. I just wasn't there. I had to relegate that to my ex-wife that did a wonderful job. But it is not, medicine is not something you go into to make $1 trillion anymore. The salaries are just, first-year pediatricians, they're hiring them for $150,000 a year. And then they all have student loans to pay off, and so those numbers don't work if you're starting to raise a family. And you have to love medicine, and you have to love your patients, and you can be a pathologist and never see a patient. I mean, again, the shy person that doesn't want to touch a patient or examine a patient, a pathologist is good. A radiologist and sit in the dark looking at all the x-rays. You didn't have to touch the patients very much. Some of them do. You have to enjoy working. Residency is hard. It's lots of hours in residency, and that gets you ready for the rest of your medical career. Just do something that makes you happy. There's so many people who are unhappy. So many people are not trying to be happy. So many people are not trying to work. So many people are not trying to make this world better. And medicine you're going to make the world better. And you're going to make some patients very happy. You've got to be able to explain the bad ones, the bad news, like we talked about.
So then I always follow up these interviews by asking, how would you like to be remembered?
I would like to be remembered as a great surgeon, a good father, someone that likes to have fun working and playing, someone that respects other people and has brought good things to this world with a legacy of the Cains, legacy of my sons, lots of patients that are very grateful for my skills.
Well, I want to thank you for this session that we've had. You're very thoughtful and forthcoming in all areas of your life. So I've enjoyed listening to it, and I can only imagine the many thousands who tune in to Voices of Oklahoma. We're now in our 14th year. We'll be very interested in listening to your story. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed spending this time, and I learn more about myself every time I do something like this.
So I'm going to finish it by saying thank you, doctor.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.